Hello, I'm Joel Baird, the General Manager of Missoula Community Access Television, inviting you to another edition of What's Up Missoula. This program profiles civic groups and nonprofit groups in the area. Today we're going to visit with Gene Bernofsky. He's a retired mailman, and he is also presenting a film on MCAT through his worldwide film expedition. He's given me questions to ask him and his guests. I'm going to show you some of the guests. On the far right is Tom McCourt. He is an associate professor of media at Fordham University. Next to him is Joan Grossman. She's an independent filmmaker from Brooklyn, New York. Next to me is Laura Lundquist. She's an MCAT producer and a concerned Missoula citizen. I'm your host, Joel Baird. The topic is the film that Gene is going to present. It's going to be on the MCAT channel Tuesday, June the 12th at 4:30 p.m., Friday, June 15th at 6, and again on Wednesday, June 20th at 8:30 p.m. Gene, you want to talk about the content of your film?
Oh, yes. Now, this film is about Tom McClay's Bitterroot Resort, and it's called Oh No Lolo. And I'll show you what it looks like here. This is kind of the cover of the film. It's kind of hard to see. What about here? I can't see. Oh, there it is. Okay. There's the cover of the film. It's in DVD format, and it's going to have its broadcast premiere on MCAT on June 12th. That's a Tuesday at 4:30, and then we have another show that's going to be on Friday on June 15th at 6 o'clock. Now, I advertised that film, that showing, the Friday showing, on June 15th in the Missoulian. And when I wrote the ad for the Missoulian, the ad said, "A film about Tom McClay's Bitterroot Resort scam." And then I gave the Missoulian $235 for that ad. And today I got a call from them saying that they can't use the word scam. So their editors, the Missoulian editors, had a problem with using that word scam in the ad that I paid for. So I suggested, well, let's take it down a tone and call it boondoggle. How about calling it a film about Tom McClay's Bitterroot Resort boondoggle? And the advertising executive in the Missoulian went and checked with her editors, and half hour later came back and said, no, I'm sorry, we can't use the word boondoggle either. Now, this just happened over the phone just a couple of hours ago, and I have a couple of witnesses that saw all this happen. So then I suggested, well, how about using the phrase heaven on earth? Let's call it a film about Tom McClay's Bitterroot Resort, Heaven on Earth. Please go check with your editors. And the advertising executive came back about 10 minutes later and said that would be fine. So when you see the ad for the broadcast that's going to be on June 15th in the Missoulian, look for those words, and you know the story behind it. That was a $235 ad. Now, I also went to the Independent here in town, and the Independent had no problem whatsoever with the word scam, and so that's the way it's going to run in the Independent. So this film is an advocacy film where we're advocating for the land and for the wildlife, and we're opposed to the resort. And I've been opposed to the resort ever since I first saw the butt scars that Tom McClay put on the mountain. If you look at those butt scars, he put them on about 2.5 years ago. You can see him from all over Missoula. You can see him from the Rattlesnake Wilderness. And you can see those butt scars from Evero Hill, and they're constantly there. And what bothered me about it was that I just didn't like being mooned 24/7 by this gentleman. First, he's mooning us, and then he wants to get up onto the top of Lolo Peak and drop his pantaloons and actually defecate upon 1,200 acres of public land. That's your land and...
That's 12,000, Gene.
Pardon?
12,000.
Thank you. 12,000 he wants to defecate upon. He's probably been saving it up for quite some time. He intends to defecate upon 12,000 acres of public land and run a big stream of that sewage of his from his own property for 6 miles up to the very summit of Lolo Peak. So in this film, which is about 43 minutes, we were fortunate to find several women, 8 women who stand up in the film and give him what for what he's doing. So please take a look at this film and let me know if you think it works with 12 women. I didn't interview any men, and we mixed the interviews in with a couple of dramatic sequences that we put together, which you should find amusing because we mock the man himself. So was there some question about any of this that...
Yeah, you had written that I should ask Joan about media advocacy and why it's important.
Well, I think what's important about the kind of films that Gene Bernofsky is making is that they put across the point of view of the underlings. In this issue, you have a large corporate interest, a lot of money, the potential to create a lot of public relations, and to have a lot of lawyers, big guns behind the project. And a film like this is an attempt to come back and meet the people who will really be affected by this kind of intervention. So in Gene's film, by advocating for the people whose lives will be affected by looking at the environment and how it will be affected, I think it shows how advocacy media can bring these issues to life and can bring a voice to people who otherwise have very little voice in this day and age against the government or against large corporate projects.
And Laura, how did you get involved in the project?
Well, I'm kind of like Gene. I've been involved with in trying to battle against the Lolo Peak Bitterroot Resort for quite a while. I got involved with Friends of Lolo Peak and was involved with MCAT, and like Gene figured the way to get this out to a lot of people is to put it on film. And back last April, they were having meetings with the Forest Service, and a lot of people, as long as this is drawn out, thought that this was a done deal, that the Forest Service would say no to him and that it wouldn't be anything that they had to worry about, not realizing this can be a very long, drawn-out process. And so I wanted to let the people know that they could still be involved, they could still have a voice, and right now they can still have a voice because the management plan is still being written and it's expected to come out this year. So the way to communicate that is to reach out to you people out there and say, you can still be involved, you can still contact people. And so that was my thing. If I don't have a lot of money, but the one thing I can contribute is time and effort. And so I put that into a little documentary for MCAT, and Gene took that and ran with it with the stuff that he did, and it just hopefully will keep snowballing from there.
Do you appear in Gene's film?
I do, yeah. He he liked some of the things that I had to say in my other one and just kind of put me out there and said, go ahead and talk and say what you want to say. And I really appreciate him for that opportunity.
Yeah. Now, when people are watching, they have no idea what you're talking about. Let's just say, for instance, they have never heard of it. Could you characterize what's going on for them? I mean, I know you sort of did, but what is the resort? Where is the resort? How large does it intend to be? And how much public land is involved in the creation of it?
Well, you better ask Laura that question because she can answer it a lot better than I can.
Okay.
Okay. The Bitterroot Resort is something that apparently has been in the works for a couple of decades because this popped its head up a long time ago, about in the late 60s, and back then the townspeople said no to it, and they've been trying to keep it going for quite a while, and now Tom McClay finally has backers. It's his land, his property is right adjacent to Highway 93 going down between Lolo and Stevensville, and it's just about 3,000 acres, and then he wants to take another 12,000 acres of public land to make this world destination ski resort. And
How would he use the public land? Would he lease it or would he purchase it?
it would be leased, but you would have to pay, you as a public person would still have to pay to use his lifts and to be allowed to go on it because it would be part of his property. So he'd
So
be
in other
making
words,
money off it.
we'd be paying now to use our public land.
Correct. Correct.
As a ski trail of some sort?
Right,
Or
yes.
a series of ski trails?
He wants to, this area is pristine, 7,000 acres of roadless area, some research areas up there that have trees that are up to 700 years old, and particular environments that occur only in this area. And he wants to take this public land, build ski lifts, cat tracks, everything that goes, a large restaurant and warming hut up at the top of Carlton Ridge. He wants to take all this and build it all out there and make money off of it. And it's actually to augment his little real estate empire down below, because really that's all that ski areas are getting to be anymore, particularly the new ones, is their amenities to real estate. They're not built to be a ski area in and of itself.
Well,
So
did you say 700-year-old trees?
I did say that.
Now, I understand he cut down some of those trees.
He did, and
And
right
that the
now,
Forest Service is suing him over that.
and yet he can still apply to the Forest Service and say, I want to use your land, and they're right now pretending like they're considering that. And I figure the minute you have violated the laws of an area, how can you then go in and want them to participate with you? It doesn't
Because
make
there were
sense.
public hearings that MCAT covered, and this was to get public input on the proposed resort.
Yes, yes, and they have had the official public input period is over, although you can still go ahead and put your input into the Forest Service, but that has all been accumulated now, and of all those responses, 80% of those responses, and the Sierra Club paid to have these amounts tallied, 80% of these were against the Lolo Peak Resort and for maintaining the forest as it currently is in the management plan, which is roadless and research area only, no special use permit for ski area. 80%. So if anybody comes in now and says that they're allowed to have that, it's going against public sentiment, and there had to have been something else going on. And that's a thing that a lot of people are worried about, because, as she said, the whole thing behind a resort is, right now, it's being money driven. You got a lot of people who are investors. They want that real estate to make money. It's going to make a lot more money if they can have a 12,000 area ski area rather than just a little 3,000 area that right now is getting further and further below the snow line.
Because of the warming.
Yeah.
But that's the private property extent
That's the private
right now.
property. That's all he has, and all those runs that you see are on his private property. But if that's all that there is, he is not going to make the kind of income on that 2,200 unit village that he wants to build. He's not going to make the money on that real estate that he could if he could offer them all the rest of that beyond. And so That's what it's
Essentially,
about.
Laura, the Forest Service is going to decide? Is that the final arbiter of the outcome of the lease request?
It is.
And they're taking just public comment, and they're going to release a decision in several months?
Right now, they just say in 2007.
So this year?
This year, yeah. I don't know when it will be coming
Oh.
out. The other thing that just came out is there's some Plum Creek property that's going up for sale across from the area from where he is on the Lolo Peak Highway that he has offered to buy and trade the Forest Service this Plum Creek property for some of this pristine, roadless property that's around Carlton Ridge so that he can have it, actually own it in that case.
You mean he wants to own Lolo Peak, even though there's tremendous public sentiment against him, and he knows. So what is he doing to counter that? Probably everybody in the area here has gotten some of his postcards.
If not heard his announcements on the radio.
So the announcements on the radio, he's coming on the radio every morning on this Radio 3, pimping that resort and sending out those postcards. I thought those postcards were so charming, because the postcards say straight talk about the Bitterroot Resort from Tom McClay, straight talk. And when anybody says to me, here's the straight talk, you wonder about the forked tongue. I wonder
You
about
immediately
the forked.
worry about it.
I really wonder about the forked tongue. But those postcards were so charming that I filmed them. And you'll see those postcards again in the film. But in the film, we mock that effort of his. So we'll have an opportunity to laugh at the individual, because he's really working hard to bull this through. And if he was really smart about it, and if he really wanted to get a little more public sentiment on his side, he should probably hire someone like Laura or myself to help him with the PR work, because he certainly isn't getting the message across to people about all the wonderful things he wants to do for us. But I have some ideas for him that I'd be happy to just give him for free if he really wants to get the public a little more on his side.
Gene, you want to talk about why you only interviewed women in the documentary?
Well, why do you think I only interviewed women on the documentary?
I don't know why.
Well, because, the man is trying to bull this project through. He's kind of like a bully. And I thought that if we interviewed men, we'd get into this macho argument, whereas the women who are brave enough to stand up and talk against the resort actually kick his hiney thoroughly. Can we say hiney?
You can.
Hiney. So yes, and so it'd be interesting for the MCAT audience, I think, to look at the film and let me know if they think it was effective that we only interviewed women.
Do you want to put up some contact number on the screen now for people watching the film? Or an email address to get back to you with the comments?
No, people could just look me up in the phone book.
Okay.
And I'd be happy to speak to anyone that wanted to call. I'd be really interested in people's comments, negative or positive. But I'm more interested in the positive comments than I am in the negative comments.
Gene, there's 10 more minutes. Do you want to bring Tom into the discussion?
Well, I gave you a question to ask him. Why don't you ask him a question?
Okay. I forgot.
Well,
Tom, you get to comment on the state of public media in general.
Okay. Well, I think it's really important that we have localized media where activists like Gene can show their work, this has become increasingly problematic as public radio and television become increasingly corporatized. For example, Gene, I imagine if you would go to the local public television station and ask them to show this, your reception might be somewhat less than enthusiastic.
No, that's absolutely true. They won't carry any of my stuff ever.
And so public access channels, cable public access channels, are often the only venues in communities where local artists and activists can show their work, and unfortunately public access channels are increasingly under attack. Because there's only one cable system within a community. In order to gain the license to operate the cable system, companies will offer public access channels. These are no longer required. And what we're seeing now is that cable licenses are awarded increasingly at the state level rather than the local level, which means that local communities have less leverage to provide public access channels, to provide venues for community artists and activists.
Yeah, and I mean, partly this has been triggered by the phone companies attempting to get into the cable business, and they feel that the franchise work that cable has done over the last 30 years is an unfair advantage to their entry. So their argument is, well, it is difficult for us to go to municipality to local franchising authorities, as the cable companies have done. They wanted a federal franchise, which they didn't really get from the Congress last summer, but they got something sort of equivalent from the FCC, which is going to be appealed in the 8th District Court. But people don't really want to know about it. But the point being, anyway, that cable is kind of obligated to provide a public forum, but it's really been assailed, and mostly now at the hands of Verizon and AT&T, who want a national franchise, and barring that, they're getting a state franchise with less requirements in the public interest, which is getting the cable company to go along with them. So they say, well, our competitive edge is having existing franchises. But if the phone company lobbies to have less public access, maybe we'll go for that because it'll be cheaper for them. So that is a pretty sad state of affairs.
But won't the city still honor its commitment to our channel and continue to fund it?
The effect of what Tom is saying, the effect of the legislation at a state level is to remove the authority from a city and put it on a state level with less obligation for funding.
Yeah.
So that part is a little tough, and the drama's been going on for about 2 years now.
That's too bad, because I know I've read Missoula has one of the highest viewership of public access TV. It's like 38% here.
It's higher for government than in any other place in the country, just about. So that's kind of shocking.
Yeah.
All right, Gene, here's your final question, I'll assume. Is there anything Tom McClay can do to change your mind about his Bitterroot Resort?
Oh, you kind of putting me on the spot with that question. What makes you ask me that?
Well, you wrote it down and asked me to ask you.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I do have a really good clue for Tom McClay if he wants to do something to increase the public sentiment about his resort. And Tom, you listen to me on this, and if I can help you get this across. What I want you to do is make a commitment for the public service jobs to pay a union-based salary for the public service jobs that you're going to offer. So if you will come out publicly and commit that you will pay people $25 an hour and include a health plan in that, I will get to work with the hotel and the restaurant local here, 427, to see, and we will get some support for your Bitterroot Resort. Now, I happen to know that now you're just planning to pay a very low minimal wage for the resort workers. But if you change that and make a commitment to decent union jobs, I'll drop my opposition. So I'm challenging you to do that and I will drop my opposition, and I'll get my outfit to work for you on a nonprofit basis to make sure that we can get decent jobs for people in the area. Now, I say that because you consistently say that you care about Montanans and about what's going to happen here. And everyone knows that we wonder about your talk on that, because everyone knows that the bottom line is you're going to pay people really miserable wages. So if you turn that around and commit to paying decent union wage, you'll get some public support. And in fact, I might be willing to trade Lolo Peak for that, just to get thousands of people working at a decent wage. And that would be a really real way for you, Tom, to share the wealth and the tremendous profits that are going to accrue to you if you do get all of this public land that you want. So think about that, Tommy, and get a hold of me if you're ready to make that commitment. Okay? I really don't think you care about doing that, but if you do, just get hold of me, and I'll be your boy on that.
All right. Does anyone want to add anything else we might have overlooked?
Didn't you have some more, Laura?
Oh, I have scads more, but
We need
don't
another
have
half
to,
hour?
Yeah, we need about another 2 hours as far as all the things that I could say. But as far as I'm concerned, Lolo Peak is not for sale. That's my whole point. He's only in it for the money, and I don't care how much he can give me. $100 million. Lolo Peak is not for sale. It is worth more as a natural place than it is. It's not for sale.
Yeah, so watch this film, if only just to see Laura in it. She is a major star. And our flyovers, we used our flyovers for Laura in the film, and you could really see the no snow on those ugly butt marks that he's mooning out at Missoula 24/7.
And I want to remind people when the program is going to be on MCAT Channel 7, Friday, June 15th at 6 p.m., Wednesday, June 20th at 8:30 p.m. It premieres Tuesday, June 12th at 4:30 p.m. Gene Bernofsky encourages you to look him up in the phone book. And if you have any comments, to call him at his house and let him know how you feel about it.
Yeah, and we especially appreciate positive comments, because I'm really upset at negative comments, since we did this whole thing for nothing, and it's totally a nonprofit deal, and we're not making any money out of it. So if you've got a negative comment, I'd appreciate it if you could just repress that, and let's hear some positive comments about it.
Well, I want to thank all of you for coming on the show. Again, there's Tom McCourt here, Associate Professor of Media, Fordham University. Joan Grossman, independent filmmaker from New York. Laura Lundquist is an MCAT producer and in Gene's film. And the film is called Oh No, Lolo.
What a great title.
And thanks for watching this edition of What's Up Missoula. If you know of a group you'd like to see on this program, give us a call. At MCAT, the number is 542-6228. For MCAT, I'm Joel Baird. Thanks for watching.